You're back for day 4. Today we are talking about identifying zones. Now that doesn't sound like very much fun, does it? But for me, this is a way to take your craft space and look at it through the lens of what is going to make the most sense logistically in terms of where things go. Now, the easiest way to do this is obviously when you're starting out with a blank slate. So I love moving into a new house where you've got completely empty area where you can figure out the best configuration. But chances are you're not moving. So the second best way to do this is to take everything out and then touch it and see if it brings you joy, and then decide if you're going to put it back into your craft space, right? That might be a little complicated too, because again, us crafters have a huge collection of lots of different art supplies and different things. So I think the best way to approach this is to just focus on identifying zones. So what do I mean by that? I mean looking at the various categories and then identifying, are they in the same central location? And I like to do that by using sticky notes. So grab a pack of sticky notes and a pen, and you can go through and start even jotting down categories, right? So for example, we could do ink. Okay, and so behind me is where I keep all of my ink, whether it be ink pads or markers and whatnot. Okay, I also like to have things in open spaces. Some people might use more closed spaces because they don't want to see everything. But I'm a crafter that likes to see what I have that reminds me so that I can make sure I'm using it. So that is a preference that, people might differ on. But I think once we've identified zones, we can probably realize that our craft supplies might have been growing over the years. And maybe we started out with ink over here, but as things expanded and we didn't have space over here, maybe we started moving ink over there, right? And so this is going to be our chance to try and corral it all together. So get your sticky note and we're going to practice. I'll show you a little bit more about what I mean. Okay, so I'm literally in the bottom corner of my craft room, but I wanted to just show you an example of how my stuff is sort of exploded and I haven't really readjusted my zones, okay? So Stampin' Up! Sells kits, and a lot of the kits come in these nice pretty boxes that I use to repackage things. And so I started putting them in this cubby here. Then over here, there are some containers that I actually was using for unfinished projects, but as you can see, there's nothing in there. So I'm not even really sure what function this is serving right now, so I need to reevaluate that cubby. And then over here, I've got resin crafts that I've gotten into recently. We'll tackle that later under miscellaneous crafts. And then this cubby also has a bunch of craft boxes that I use to package up my box sets of handmade cards. And so if you're thinking in terms of zones, you've got boxes here and boxes over there with some random cubby in between, right? So I am going to at least reorganize these to put the two cubbies of boxes right next to each other. And that's an example of a zone, right? So if I need packing supplies, I am coming over here, not getting, distracted with my unfinished projects in between. So take a minute to look at your craft room with some fresh eyes and just evaluate the different categories. So use your sticky notes to label everything so that you can start seeing if, maybe these two categories need to be closer together. And that will be part of our 30-day craft room organization challenge. Don't forget to join us over in the Stamp with Cheryl Facebook group, and we'll see you again tomorrow.